Ultralight backpackers take things a little too far, from using tents that cost literally $1,000 to using a backcountry bidet. You don't need to listen to these people, and here's why they're wrong. This is how I make coffee while backpacking. It's an AeroPress Go. And yes, I know I could go lighter, I know that instant coffee exists, but I really like good coffee in the morning, and I really enjoy the process of making coffee. So I don't have to cut this down just for the sake of being ultralight. And if you're new to backpacking, if you're anything like me, you are probably watching a ton of YouTube videos on what to pack, what to bring with, what to eat, what gear to use, all that stuff. And with many of these videos, there's this huge trend that makes it seem like you have to be ultralight. For example, I was listening to an episode of the Backpacking in Blisters podcast, which I absolutely love, but they have some guests on that literally laughed at the fact that someone would bring a headlamp with them while they're backpacking. And I guess they have a point. I mean, you could bring a little tiny pen light like they said, but a headlamp is probably one of the most tried and true pieces of camping technology that is just super convenient. This here is my headlamp, and it weighs 2 ounces. I say bring the headlamp because it's going to make your life way easier, and it really isn't that heavy at all. While backpacking, I bring the gear that I enjoy using while still trying to pack lightweight. But there's a big difference between going ultralight and bringing gear that is just outright unnecessary. So let's talk about an optional piece of backpacking gear, like my backpacking chair. This is the Helinox Chair Zero, and it weighs about 1 pound. Now, an ultralighter might tell you not to bring the chair because you can just sit on a log or sit on the ground. Or you can just use a sit pad like this piece of closed cell foam that I've used many times. It worked, it did the trick, but when I was sitting around camp, I was just never able to get comfortable. So finally, I decided that I would try a backpacking chair and absolutely loved it. It's great to have a place that I can actually sit down and relax after backpacking like 13 miles. Now, it's definitely not a necessary piece of gear, and it does weigh more than some closed cell foam, but I'm more comfortable while I'm out on the trail, and I have more fun because of it. If you would like to just use a sit pad, go for it, that's totally fine, but don't let someone tell you that you can't bring a chair because they think it weighs too much. But what's an example of something that everyone needs to have with them while they're backpacking? This is a first aid kit. Everyone should bring some sort of first aid kit with them while they're backpacking just in case. When you're new to backpacking, you'd probably think that you would need to keep everything inside of this and bring the entire massive plastic case with you. But that is what is unnecessary. What you really should do is leave the big plastic case at home and take out the things that you may need and would actually use. Things like band-aids, antiseptic, a few pain meds, alcohol wipes, just a few things for minor issues, and put all of those things into a small Ziploc bag. So boom, we just reduced the weight and bulk by bringing only the things that we would actually use, and we leave this unnecessary bulky case back at home. Another thing an ultralighter might tell you is that you need to bring fancy upgraded tent stakes. But doesn't every tent already come with tent stakes? Especially if you're buying an ultralight tent, the stakes are already very lightweight. So these here are the tent stakes that come with my tent. Obviously, they have been used many times. These stakes each individually weigh 0.32 ounces, so altogether there's a weight of 1.9 ounces. Not bad at all. Where an ultralighter might tell you to bring upgraded stakes to save some weight. For example, these are the Atani titanium tent stakes that I bought from Garage Grown Gear. These each weigh about 0.18 ounces and cost $22. Plus, they're only sold in a set of 4, so if you want to stake out your tent and rainfly, you gotta buy 2 sets. This is where ultralight becomes unnecessary because we're talking about spending an extra $44 to save 0.85 ounces in weight. Another item you always need to bring with you while you're backpacking is some sort of water bottle. And all over REI, Target, or Walmart, there are these kinds of bottles that are heavily branded toward outdoors use. Big, heavy metal water bottles like Hydro Flask, Yeti, or Stanley. These brands make it seem like if you're going for a hike, you better have one of these with you. And if you're new to backpacking, you might think you need one for backpacking too. But these metal bottles are completely unnecessary and weigh far too much. Water itself is already heavy enough to carry for backpacking, and these sorts of bottles make it even worse. And while you're backpacking, there's no need to insulate water and keep it cold. Instead, just a plastic water bottle like a Smart Bottle or something similar will work just as good as those, and you can even attach your water filter to it. Plus, they only cost like $2, so you can save the extra $30 to $50. So don't get me wrong, I like my ultralight gear, and I might sound like I'm contradicting myself in this entire video. But what I'm trying to show you is that if you like the things that bring you more comfort out on the trail, bring them with you. Sure, it might not be as light, but you're probably going to have a better time out on the trail because of it. On the other hand, you should recognize the things that are blatantly unnecessary to bring with you while you're backpacking and are only going to add extra weight and bulk with no real added benefit. When I first started backpacking, I was in college, and and didn't have very much money, so I couldn't buy ultralight gear, but I also brought unnecessary gear with me. Knowing the difference between what is ultralight and what is unnecessary would have saved me a lot of aches and pains. Thank you so much for making it this far into the video. If you did, I really do appreciate that, and that's absolutely awesome. If you made it this far, you must be a fan of my channel. If so, consider supporting me on Patreon or as a YouTube member. Anyone who becomes a member gets access to a bunch of like behind the scenes videos and stuff that I don't publish to my actual YouTube channel. In addition, you can get added to a group chat with me and all the other members. I would love to have you guys there. Anything that you guys support me with goes directly towards buying more gear for me to make YouTube reviews on and to fund more backpacking trips for me to make more awesome content for you guys. So with that, thank you all for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one.